What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Flyin podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Mitchell, back with my co-host, Steven Maslij.
Matthew, what's up, my brother?
Nothing great, Steve. Unfortunately, we are coming back to you guys with our third loss in a row, dropping a really tough one to the Chargers, 22-19 on Monday Night Football in overtime. It was a really rough game from a lot of angles. Some good things, a lot of bad things, and unfortunately, if I were to sum it up, this was the last hurrah for the team to really get themselves in the right position and get their heads in the right place before playoffs. Now, there is still 4 games going to the playoffs, so I'm not going to say it's kaput, but this really felt like they were giving this was one of the games that felt like they gave one of their utmost efforts of the year, and they still fell short, and that was a little concerning to me. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's hear your thoughts and what you had to say about the game.
Obviously the thing that standed out most in this game was Hurts having 5 turnovers, 2 of them being on one play, which is never happened before, I believe, in NFL history.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So he did that. It was maybe Hurts' worst game as an Eagle from the perspective of turnover wise. I kind of like some of the things that he did, and it's kind of hard to say that because there's a couple plays where you're like, wow, we had some routes over the middle that actually where the playbook was a little more complex. Saquon had a breakaway touchdown. There's some things from this game. Our defense played phenomenal against Herbert, which we cited in the last podcast that didn't go up, whatever. And but we cited that we didn't think Herbert was going to play this game. I mean, the man had his left hand and offhand just surgically done, and he was literally handing the ball off with his hand going like this to the right side. It was very interesting to see. He didn't play that great of a game if he goes stat wise, but he had his heart on his sleeve, and he led the team in rushing. He took off, and he played his heart out as much as he could. Our defense stepped up a lot when they could. This is just one of those games that this one hurt. And you mentioned we're going to get into it more about last chance and everything. I think we have one more chance against the Bills to make this like ramp up. But other than that, we're going to a week where it's a devastating loss and you're playing a really crappy team. It's kind of a hard. I don't think we'll get into the Raiders and everything, but this game just was brutal and hurt and back and forth constantly, make a big play, and we get down. It was just the interception at the end of the game that Hurts threw on, was it the 15?
It was within the 20. We were in the red zone.
Yeah, on the 17. Yeah, he threw an interception into like a double coverage thrown at the Dotson. That was kind of the summary of the game. It was like, all right, we're back. And I felt like every Eagles fan's like ready to be like, screw it, how bad this game was. We're back, and it just like ripped your heart out. I don't know if you felt the same way. I was like, ah.
Oh, of course. It's impossible not to. I mean, they were dominating that drive, and they were running down the field, and everyone had the thought of touchdown in their mind. It's first down in the red zone. You're moving the ball with no effort. And then to throw a pick like that, it really did hurt. I do want to point out that I hate that I've been hearing all week that people keep trying to say like, oh, he threw into double coverage or triple coverage or whatever. That coverage was not, he was not double covered or triple covered. It was, now, should he have made that decision? No. Like, that was just a bad decision for a first down play and, so forth. I also kind of stand on the fact that a lot of people have been talking about the fact that he made a wrong read in an RPO. I don't think that was an RPO. I think that was a designed pass. I thought that was a designed rollout pass from the beginning. But aside from that, that was one of those situations where if you're not a pro quarterback, that's like, everybody's making that throw. Granted, he is one of those pro quarterbacks. It's something he has to be aware of and how fast that window can close. That window was open pretty much when he threw the ball. If he was a split second sooner, he might complete that pass. But alas, this game is a game of inches, and you could throw in a whole lot of what ifs into this game and have a different outcome. So, for fun, why don't we talk about some of the what ifs? So, obviously, you go back to 2 dropped A.J. Brown touchdowns that make the difference in the game there. And a dropped A.J. Brown pass that turns into an interception that turns into points for the Chargers as well. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, what if Jalen Hurts doesn't have 5 turnovers, because that's a ridiculous thing to ask for. But, with those 3 plays, you change those 3 plays into catches. We're having a completely different conversation this week as a fan base. So how do you feel about that? How did you feel about AJ's, how have you felt about AJ in general? Like, what do you think about what you saw on the offensive side of the ball?
See, as well as AJ played on paper, this was a really, and he even mentioned it after the game about accountability and him really wanting that opportunity, and he got it. Like, it made me a little frustrated with him, because it was, here you go, AJ. You wanted it. You want the game on your shoulders. You could have been complaining about it all year long, and this is your time. Your time to shine, buddy. You got to put your body on the line. Didn't on the one over the middle, a little high, but still, he kind of just made his own business decision there.
Listen, there was no doubt that Hurts was struggling in this game. Like, That's the time where your teammates have to pick you up and help you out. I don't think that Hurts has struggled in every single game. I think this is one of the few this year that we can say for a fact that he was the driving struggling. He was the driving struggler. He was the cause of the offensive woes in this game, because the offense, in reality, actually played pretty well. And I'll get into that. I'm not going to go ahead and say they played well, but you do take away those 5 turnovers, and the offense actually looks pretty well oiled for most of the game. But I don't want to cut off your point yet. Keep going.
No, you look at the stats, whatever his QBR, you throw the ball into the ground every time. He has better QBR, all that crap. But it was AJ. The big play that for me was the AJ fade, where Jalen did make a great throw. It was a great play by the DB. But if you want to be that guy, AJ, you have to make that play. I've seen Jamar Chase make it. I've seen Jay Jets make it. I've seen, if you want to be considered the best receiver in the league, which he obviously wants to, and he wants to be that top 3 echelon talked about in conversation, that's a play that you make and you win it for the team. And you've been asking for that all year. You got put in that situation and he came up short. And obviously I don't put this all on AJ and everything, but it was just everything collided of the year of all right, AJ, you want your shot, buddy? You get to win this game for us, because you get to win the game. You don't lose the game for us, but you get to win the game. And he just didn't make a shot up, and it was kind of upsetting. A little bit disappointing in everything. You mentioned what ifs, we get an interception right before half. Jake Elliott misses a 48-yard field goal. We're not talking about that enough, about how he's missed a field goal in the last 3 games. It's
my dad and I were texting during the game talking about the fact that we pretty firmly believe this is going to be Jake Elliott's last year, but because he's been, you don't see kickers often stay with the same team for a long period of time, and if you do, they're a good kicker. They consistently do their job. Jake Elliott, from the first Super Bowl in 2017 up to last year, was consistent. Last year was his first year of inconsistencies, and it had people questioning. But you give those kinds of guys the benefit of the doubt because of the accomplishments they have done and what they have been able to do for you. And then you see him come out in the Super Bowl, and he, the championship game in the Super Bowl, and he kicks 6 field goals and makes all of them, not even, right down the middle. And he starts off the season I don't know exactly what the number was, but he was probably 20 for 20 to start the year, plus, or even plus that. And then the second he missed his first one, that confidence shot right down the tank. And suddenly you've got an inconsistency problem where you're 50-50 shooting on the field goals. And I do love Jake Elliott. I love everything he's done in Philadelphia, but I think that it is, like you said, it's a bigger deal than people are making it out to be. And let me say this now before I forget it, because this is something that's really important. This is something that Eagles fans, I know everybody's half aware of it, but everybody in Philadelphia wants to point a finger. This A.J. Brown situation, this Jalen situation of this game, Kevin Patullo, the offensive line, Jake Elliott, the defensive secondary. There's a lot of problems on the team, and it's not that each problem is present on every single game. They kind of take turns on who's the problem, when, and why, and how. Jalen has not been the main contributor of the issues this year. After the bye week, he's gotten a little bit worse because of all the other issues that are happening around him. to the point where now he is the issue and other people have to pick it up for him. It's frustrating that everybody wants to point the finger at one thing and not just look at it as this season is kind of a crap show right now. Like, they are struggling to put it all together. They are the definition of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And it's frustrating as fans because you want to just be able to say, oh, it's this one thing, they can just do it. But there's a reason they haven't been able to fix it all year. This team has been to championships. They know what championship culture looks like. They know what championship preparation looks like. All of the above, you know. They know how to handle this stuff. If you think they just decided this year to go brain dead and forget how to play football, you're insane. Like, there's reasons behind everything that they're doing back there, and I know that's part of the frustration because you don't know, is it Jalen? Is it Kevin? Is it Nick? Is it this philosophy of wanting to be conservative? Is it that Jalen can't do these things? And we don't know that. But I unfortunately find myself having an answer for every single thing of those or having a retort to every single one of those. If you ask me that, if you tell me that the offense is bad because Jalen isn't willing to do these things, I say you're wrong because I have seen him do these things at certain points. And if you tell me that, you know, Jalen's like unwilling to, or he's not comfortable passing over the middle, or he's not willing to do this, then why would the organization pay him $200 million? If they knew, because if this is something that we've known since he started in the NFL, that he's not that great at throwing over the middle, and he's not that quick to go through his progressions. If you think that's the main problem right now, then why did everybody in that organization agree to give him $200 million, knowing those facts? I just don't buy all the random crap that goes around Philadelphia media between, like, you know, oh, Jalen doesn't want to do this. Jalen isn't comfortable doing that. Jalen doesn't like doing this. Bull crap. I can understand if you don't think that Jalen's like, if the coaching staff decides Jalen isn't that proficient in that, so they're going to try to put something else out there that works better, sure. But I'm sick of this whole comfortability crap. Like, anybody saying that, oh, an athlete isn't doing this because they're not comfortable doing it, I just don't buy it. As somebody that previously was an athlete, like, I find it hard to have that mentality of, like, why would you not? What are you there for if you're not there to win? What are you there for? I mean, I guess you're there for money too, I guess. But you're throwing away. I just don't have answers for that one. Do you have any thoughts on the Jalen situation and what's going on?
So one thing that, like, is to me, and I'm not going to get into like his progression stuff and whatnot with all that because I'm 100% with you on that. The only thing that's the big discrepancy this year compared to the last 5 years has been his running, like his rushing. So in 13 games, he has 337 yards rushing. 15 games last year, he had 630. 17 games the year before, 605. 15 games the year before, he had 760. 15 games the year before that in 2021, he had 784. I'm not saying that he doesn't want to at all. I'm just asking, why is he not running the ball at all? Are we trying to protect him? That's the only one that gets me to the point of, like, does he not want to run the ball? Do we not want to put him in jeopardy to put him, because he has got injured previously through that, like through design runs and everything? Like in this Chargers game, he only had 4 rushing attempts, I believe. Yeah. Like 3 yards. And I'm not saying I need to see Jalen carry the ball 11 times a game. I don't necessarily want that. I'm just asking you from that, only just that rushing aspect of, what do you think? Why aren't we doing that? That's one thing that I will get behind. I'm like, what's the difference with that?
Yeah, well, I mean, as fans, again, the frustrating part is that we don't get these answers, and we never will, because that's just something that happens behind closed doors. To me, my best guess is that this is more of an offensive, the coach's idea than Jalen's idea. I think that they teach him to protect himself because they're paying him $200 million and they don't want him to get hurt. Now, the frustrating part to me is that there's no ifs, ands, or buts that Jalen is at his best as a running quarterback. You know, you're taking a whole aspect away from his game if he isn't running the ball. There's a million stats to back it up that he is better in the RPO game, in the read option game, in the play action passing game, and under center, where they talk about him not being comfortable. Tell me, if you were better than everybody else at doing something you don't like doing, would you just say, yeah, I'm not going to do that. It's not worth it. Would you? No. So why would Jalen say that he's not comfortable doing something that he is clearly better at doing than what he's doing now?
That's one of the big questions of the season.
And which is why I'm just trying to make the point that I don't buy this bullcrap that Jalen isn't comfortable doing this. Jalen doesn't want to do that. I don't buy that Jalen doesn't want to run. I don't buy that Jalen is preferential of not throwing over the middle. Like, I just don't buy this crap. I've seen nothing but character, highlights of Jalen Hurts his whole career. We talk about how much of a leader he is and how great his mentality is and how he just keeps his head down and all he cares about is winning. And I don't think that changed this year. And I'm standing on the fact that I'm sticking with Jalen until the wheels fall off. Anybody that thinks that you should be replacing Jalen right now is so poorly mistaken and so greedy and disrespectful. It's almost hard to believe. Granted, I understand why everybody's saying it. So I don't want to just go out ridiculing everybody that has said bench Jalen Hurts. I understand. But can we stop being such a greedy fan base as to not realize that we just won a Super Bowl last year and went to 2 in the past 3 years with this quarterback at the helm? Can we stop acting like one bad year means, blow the whole thing up and restart? And let me point out again to anybody that thinks this is feeling similar to what happened with Carson Wentz. This is very different because what happened with Carson Wentz is Carson Wentz watched somebody walk into his dream world, steal it, take over the whole thing and become the hero, and then get injured to the point that you're not physically what you used to be, you're not mentally where you were, and you just kind of fall apart. That is not happening to Jalen Hurts right now. Okay? Jalen is in a little bit of a mental funk, I believe, because of the chaos that's going on with the offense. But it's not grounds to replace him off of maybe 5 bad games. This is insane that we're even talking about it. What do you think about the situation? And is there any part of you that wants to see somebody else or even just have the chance to I understand the idea of just getting to see Tanner McKee and see what a different quarterback looks like. But I don't think it's warranted by any means or any case. So what do you think about it?
Well, let me just put it this way. It's absolutely absurd that people always think the grass is always greener for whatever reason. I could be the backup quarterback, and they think that you're the next.
Yeah, they'd be like, why don't we give Steve a shot? Let's see what he's got.
Why don't we? Yeah,
it can't be worse, right?
It can always be worse. Let's go, for example, the Chiefs are having a down year, right? Patty's threw 3 interceptions. 14
nobody's
for 33.
talking about that, or the fact that Lamar's having one of the worst seasons of his career, or that Josh Allen is having a Jalen Hurts-esque year himself. He's starting to pick it up the past few weeks. Don't get me wrong; he's had a few really good weeks the past few weeks. I'm not trying to get at the point that Jalen Hurts and these guys, but you get my go ahead.
Yeah, it's just the fact that it's asinine for people to think that you just people want to just jump off so quickly that everything will always be better if change happens. That's just not the case. And for those that think that are way too spoiled, and this season isn't over. As much as it stinks of how bad we've been playing the last 3 games, even after the bye week, just our defense been playing well. And then we get a get right game. And this, because the Chargers O-line stinks so much that the defense looks great. Our defense is also going to look great against the Raiders, believe it or not, and Kenny Pickett. And I will fully know that. But I just this team with this thing with trying to think that everything's always gonna be better if you replace this guy, replace that guy. It doesn't. It's just not how it works. People want to go into the draft and draft someone else already. You gotta ride out the season. I know it's been awful, and I can't be it's hard to be optimistic, but every time we come on this podcast, both me and you get all of our bad things out of the way before, because it just stinks. We have to come on here and defend a team that's top of the NFC East in the 3 seed right now and potentially can like make a run in the playoffs with a beginning home game. Like, it's brutal.
The frustration isn't the reality of what you're seeing in front of your face. It is. Sorry, it's not like if you look at a stat card, you won't get the story of the Eagles this year. If you have eyes and watch the games, you'll understand why it's so frustrating. And I've been standing on this for the past few weeks now, and I think that it's a big deal. I didn't think it was a big deal early on, but I think it turned around to become a huge deal. And I'm going to take you all the way back to the beginning of the season when the Eagles were coming off their Super Bowl win, and they came into camp ignoring the fact that they won a Super Bowl and talking about the fact that it didn't matter and that they weren't champions anymore and that it didn't mean anything. You got guys talking about how winning didn't, mean that much to them, and how it didn't hit the way they wanted it to, and it wasn't what anybody expected. And then suddenly, it just like, what do you win? What do you want to win for then? If everybody got to the pinnacle and won, and half of them said, "Okay, now what?" Then now what? I didn't think it was an issue until I saw the way the season developed. I didn't think that them coming in acting like it didn't matter. I thought that maybe could be beneficial to them and that they were just going to put their heads down and keep going to work. But that's not the case. The reality of the situation is this is a team that came into the season tired because they played longer than everybody else. It's a team that came in with no pride for the fact that they were Super Bowl champions. And it's a team that is coming in with no sense of urgency to defend their title. It came back to bite them in the ass. It just simply did. That whole mentality of, we're just like everybody else, bull crap. Everybody in the league had a target on your back because you're the Super Bowl champions. But you came out with the mentality that you're the same as everybody else. How often do we talk about winners' mentalities and how much it matters to winning? Like Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. People will be iffy on that one, but Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, those guys that had that winner's mentality. Have we seen that from the Eagles this year at any point? Because I haven't. To be fair, at the beginning of the year when we were getting all those lucky-ass wins in the beginning, it's because we were still riding on a little bit of the magic. But that magic faded. And then as soon as it faded, that confidence was gone. And which is why last week I stood on the fact that they needed to get this win over a decent team with 5 weeks left in the season so that you had some sort of momentum going forward. Which is why I'm bringing it back to where I started in the beginning of the podcast saying it felt like the last hurrah. Because, you can go and beat the Raiders and the Commanders. And even if you go to beat the Bills, that might maybe do a job now. But you didn't need that if you went out and beat the Chargers this week.
No.
Well, you still needed it, but if you went out and beat the Chargers this week in a gritty, hard-fought win where you finally dug your heels in and fought for that win, that could have got the momentum going. That could have got the team back on the upswing. That was the perfect situation to get everybody back on board. You see AJ and Jalen out there, high-fiving and laughing. You see Saquon getting hyped and finally having his big moment again. You got the defense playing lights out. And then, mistakes squander it. And it's frustrating because it wasn't just one person. Jalen was the main contributor to this game, certainly. But a lot of people made mistakes throughout this game. Jordan Mailata had a holding call on a touchdown pass, which was bullcrap, but still a mistake. And it just, you're seeing mistake on the offensive line level, you're seeing mistakes on the wide receiver level, you're seeing mistakes on the running back level, and you're seeing mistakes at the quarterback level. So stop pointing the finger at one or the other. And at the end of the day, I'm sick of Kevin Patullo. I do think his play calling stinks. I think that, Nick Sirianni said he was going to take over a little bit this week, and I think it was evident that he did. You saw slightly more creativity, but it's just not enough. And it's just, you know, I'm kind of sick of this whole, beating around the bush thing. We're simply better under center. I don't know what it's going to take to get back to that. But, like, we need to stop. The team needs to stop doing whatever the frick they're doing and, look, like, just do what's working. Stop, like, you know what they're doing right now? This is the end of my rant because I keep going. I keep getting on different tangents. This reminds me, the way they are acting with their system reminds me of old Howie Roseman. And the way Howie Roseman used to, like, dig his heels in on, like, that's my guy. And it's like, I got to steal and I'm going to look like I did something different because it's, it was my way. Like, and the guy that's way better is sitting there right in front of you every time. And you want to outthink yourself because you want to be able to maybe have the chance to say, I outsmarted you here. Stop making it rocket science and go back to simple football. Go back to 90s football. Run a West Coast offense under center and just pound the ball the way that this team made its identity last year. And maybe add a little bit of extra flair here and there. I just don't see why it's so hard, and we talk about it every week. So what are your thoughts on all of my rant there?
Well, I mean, I think you're right. It had even add on to your rant. I was watching Hard Knocks this week, and they just don't want to. I feel like all of Sirianni's speeches that he was giving, it just felt like they're just like talking, just like, yeah, we're fine, like winners eat and this and that. Like it doesn't feel like they like are reciprocated.
The buy-in is not there the way it was.
It's not. It's like what you're saying is 100% right with the mentality. And let's even go into like this isn't talked about because the defense played so well, but we're up 3, and the Chargers have it at their own 28 with 2 minutes 11 seconds left. I'm not saying that I expect the defense to get a stop every time. I'm not saying the defense didn't play great in this game. But you allowed them to go down and with 12 seconds left, kick a 46-yard field goal. It happens. But, like, this is just, like, everything. Just, like, even, like, that moment of you let them do an entire drive for 2 minutes, left and right, dink and dunk. Justin Herbert, like, didn't, like, stat-wise had 12 completions on the game. Like, it doesn't seem like they're there, like.
No, if you look at the entire game, if you looked at the Chargers stats, you would assume they lost. Heck, even if you just looked at the side-by-side stats, you'd assume they lost. But because, to be honest, in this game, nobody's going to talk about it because you can't get over the fact that 5 turnovers are 5 turnovers. And you can't just turn around and say, well, if that didn't happen. I'm going to be Micah Parsons right now and say, if that didn't happen, you would have thought this was one of the best games the Eagles played all year.
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating part about the Eagles this year is that they're just inconsistent. Like, we've seen them do good things at certain times, but then we see it completely crumble every week. It's actually, I'm pretty sure every single week we've seen, at minimum, 1 or 2 complete quarters every game. 1 or 2 to start the game. They always look great. And then they either get conservative or the opposite way and completely crumble from that point. And, like, every time I've seen them, the funny part about it all is that every time I've seen them have success with an offensive calling style or something this year, the next drive, they'll completely revert back to what they were doing that literally, for a fact, wasn't working already. Like, they'll just completely go back to it. And I'm like, what? Why did we just revert? Like, what was that about?
Perfect example is when Saquon finally broke that run, right, for 52 yards. That's the start of the fourth quarter. The Chargers end up going 5 and out, whatever. They got the first down, whatever. You know what I'm saying. We go back to passing the ball. Jalen ends up throwing an interception. Like, why are we not running the ball again? Like, it makes this is the stuff that we're talking about, like the play calling. It's like you look at it and then they get the ball.
No rhyme or reason at all.
It makes no sense. Like and then you go back, we get the ball again. We start off with passing the ball with Jalen, and then we're like, oh yeah, it's second and 8 because we do the stupid screen. This is what really made me angry. after the Hurts interception, Chargers finally get a field goal. It's tied up 16-16. We do that stupid Devonta Smith screen.
Mm-hmm.
He gets tackled for 2 yards. Then we want to run the ball, and then we're like, oh, it's third and it's like third and like 6. AJ, you out there? It didn't work. Punt the ball back.
Throw a deep ball on third down, every third down for the rest of the game, Like,
it's
not to mention they tried to run that Devontae Smith screen in the red zone on 3rd and 11 on the second drive of the game to end up kicking a field goal, and it was like in what world have you ever seen that work? Like,
does it work? I know you want to get Smitty involved, but that's my least favorite play in Sirianni's book of play calling.
It's never worked. It has literally never worked, which is why I've told you, God forbid, just turn it into a double pass at this point, because what you're doing ain't working.
I mean, you clearly see that screens with Goddard sometimes work. He can run over. So you put Smitty one-on-one with someone. I love Smitty, but he's not the guy that will run you over. He's not the guy that will beat you one-on-one. He doesn't.
No, you get Smitty on a slant or an in-cutting route and let him do his work in the middle of the field.
Oh, one-on-one jump ball, I pick Smitty over AJ. And one-on-one, just straight route running Smitty all day. One-on-one, I'd rather have Darius Cooper, or I'd rather have anyone else get it. That screen to Smitty, just he gets smacked and he goes, ouch.
Yeah.
Why am I catching this ball? I know we keep going on different tangents left to right, but the bottom line is that this was a very winnable game, and now we go to a week that we're playing the 2-11 Raiders. What they have to play for? Nothing. Who's starting for them? They're backup quarterback, and Kenny Pickett. What does he have to show? Only that he can play in this league. This is his job at this point. That's what he's playing for.
That's all he's playing for.
His quote unquote former team. This Raiders team has been abysmal. Their O-line is one of the worst I've ever seen. And we have to play this game, and you expect do you expect them to come out with energy?
No, that's the point. That's why I really felt you really had to get this Chargers win. It's now the chance of having faith in this team has turned to hope. And that's a scary thing. It really is. I can't sit here and say I have faith in them. They have to win 3 of these next 4 games to stay in the 3 seed and to just make the playoffs in general, because they won't make the playoffs if they don't win the division now. So all of this is on the table, which is a crazy thought. So, this is they have to at least play for that, but it's going to be hard to find that motivation playing against the Raiders and the Commanders and the Bills in week 17. It's just tough. And I can't say that I have full faith. I can't just sit here and be yeah, they're going to win these next 4 games. I can't say that for certain. I really can't, for the first time in a long time. But
it stinks. It
does. It's not for a lack of talent. It's just for a lack of, to me, I've been saying for the last few weeks, it's for a lack of confidence. They have no confidence in themselves, and they have no pride in the fact that they're defending Super Bowl champions.
Are these next 2 games against Marcus Mariota and Kenny Pickett with a 2-11 team and a 3-10 team at this point in time, they're going to wait? You're telling me that after losing that game and losing 3 straight, the Eagles are going to get back up on their horse and go, we really are going to study and practice really hard for these 2 games.
Exactly. What I've been praying for with this team all year, they haven't been wowing me at any point this year, in terms of the way that they've played offense. And defense has been pretty bully ball for they've gone back and forth. They've played a half a good year and a half a bad year. I'll put it that way. But this team needed to turn into bully ball. They needed to turn into bruisers, just out tough you and show that even if our crap isn't working, you can't beat us. And they haven't been those guys. They've actually kind of rolled over and let teams do what they wish. There just hasn't been any pride in the mentality that they've been owning this year. And that's been the biggest disappointment to me to me, there is no issue with talent. Nothing. You really can't ask for a better roster. It's just when people don't give it enough credit that when the mentality goes wrong, not only is it contagious, but it's also really hard to get back in the right place. And there's only so many opportunities to do it. So again, that goes into my play of fear of like how they're going to go into the playoffs. Like, I don't know that they're going to go into the playoffs with a playoff mentality now because I don't know that they're going to be able to find it. But I can sit here as a fan and say I certainly hope so, because if they do, they are capable of winning a Super Bowl. I'm never going to change my mind on that. But I'm not going to sit here and act like they have some great chance at it either, because they certainly haven't shown me at any point that they are going to do that.
All right. So Raiders, Eagles, Sunday at 1:00. How do you see this game going?
I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about there. It's just a 2-11 team. Like, you have to find yourselves this game. I don't even need to give you, like, I don't need to say what they should or shouldn't be doing. They just have to find themselves on offense. And, truthfully, I don't know if I should say this or not. I don't even really care how the defense plays. Honestly. I may be being bold saying that, but if the offense does its job, then it shouldn't really matter, because the Raiders just shouldn't be good enough to do much, So if the defense looks really bad, I'm not going to know where to stand with them, because I've watched them be one of the most dominant defenses I've ever seen, as well as just dog crap. So I don't like, they would just leave me baffled. I would run out of ideas if the defense played that poorly, but I digress. The offense needs, and we've been hearing this every week on the radio, is that, everybody just wants to see a good offensive performance. If you can't do it against the Raiders, the season's over. Flat out, plain and simple, no more hope. It's over. If you cannot do it against the Raiders, it's over. I don't have faith that you can put it together in 3 weeks if you don't get it done against the Raiders. And I don't think the Raiders are just going to give you some, exponential amount of hope, but you got to do what you're supposed to do. And if you can't do what you're supposed to do, I don't know how you're going to, like, you've already lost 90% of the fan base. I feel like me and you might be and I don't even know where you stand. I think, on game day, you're probably a freaking menace. So I would say that I'm in like the 5% of Philadelphia that's like still on board with everything. I'm running out of defense.
It's, Andrew actually mentioned this to me in the 2023 season. I'm trying to December 31st, we played the Cardinals, which were like a 4-12 team that year.
Oh, I recall. I remember. It feels like it's all playing out exactly the same. I get it.
Does this feel like a similar type game of?
Yes, very similar. It's scarily so. So, like, I'm every time I pray and hope that this can't be the same thing as 2023, it gets creepily closer. So
something has to change in that locker room. I know the positivity bunny was the stupidest thing ever. I'm not like out.
It was an O-lineman gimmick of just trying to be funny. It unfortunately caught too much wind, but
yeah, I'm not like just like, even when Saquon broke that run, it was like, finally. That's how they weren't even like happy. They were like, I guess we got a breath of fresh air for a second. It's like, oh, you can't even be happy. No, you can't be happy for a second. I know they're all pissed off. They're not happy even if they win the next few games. This team has to figure out their locker room. A lot of it just going on to the captains. If they want to turn it around, they're gonna do it themselves. And like you said, I don't have faith. I have hope now. I have no faith in this offense looking good, even agast this dog crap.
There's no reason to assume so, because
why would I assume? I see the same thing over and over again. I mean, it's like, it's literally the definition of insane for me. The same thing over and over again for me not to think the same thing's going to happen.
If we do that, then we're no different than the Eagles coaching staff.
No. Like, they have to be like, we suck right now. You guys are idiots. Like, I don't care. Like, right now, it's like, you're not 8-5 and leading NFCs. You are like,
listen, they don't think so. They are treating themselves like they're a 2-11 team. Trust me.
They treat themselves like that, but then but I don't even want that. That's even worse, because then they're putting their heads in the sand and just not coming out strong.
Well,
that's even worse.
I'm going to stand on the fact that to me has been the most disappointing part about the year. Like, that goes back to my point about the mentality at the beginning of the year and how it developed throughout the year. I just think that's like, if this season turns into a failure, then I'm always going to look back on it and say, like, I'm going to look at it and be like, yeah, they folded like hard. Not even just the team in terms of like their accomplishments, folded mentally, and that's going to frustrate me for a long time.
All right, one more question for you before we give our score predictions. We started off the year obviously pretty hot and being 8-2. A lot of those wins were coming one possession and very close game. We ended up losing some very close games by 3 to Dallas, by 9 to Detroit, and then obviously, Chicago, and then obviously the last game by 3. Would you have rather squeaked out wins in these games and still had the same struggles that we were seeing previously? And I know it's easy to say yes, but I don't know how I'm trying to phrase this.
Are you saying would you rather go like 6-4 and have a few dominant wins and a few regular losses?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is like these last 3 games, would you rather have squeaked out that, like, do you think that win really would have like changed the mentality if we squeaked it out, even not playing completely dominant in the Chargers? Or
I personally think so. Yes, I think it would have made a big difference in the locker room for this one, because I just think that it was at a spot in the season where all is going wrong, but you're only on you're only on a 2-game skid, right? Like it's not the end of the world yet, but it's feeling like it. It feels like the sky is falling, but you're not there yet. And if you go out against a team that has the same record as you and get into an overtime, hard-fought battle and then come out with a win, especially like you saw them get hyped a few times throughout the game. They were into that game more so than I've seen them into a game all year. Plain and simple, which tells me that they felt the same way. Like they needed this. They needed this. Not we needed this. They needed this. And that's the scariest part about the loss, is that I'm scared that it might have deflated them to the I don't think people are understanding how much when you get to a point where you need it like that and you start to get that inflated just to deflate, you deflate hard. And I'm a little scared that their mentality might be now beyond the point of repair. And that's why I felt like this game was incredibly important, because if you did pull it out in a hard-fought win, game that's, a team that's on the same level as you, it just gives you, all right, we're still there. We're still there. And if you go out and then win the rest of the games, then you're going into the playoffs on a 5-game winning streak, having beat 2 good teams and 3 bad teams, but your head's in the right place. And you have a little bit more confidence that we are those guys still. I can say with certainty that they do not think they're those guys. They do not feel like they're champions right now, and they do not think that they can win a championship. That's a promise. They need to find something to be able to do that, and I don't know that they have enough time left, but I'm certainly hopeful that they can find something in these next 4 games.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get into it. I'm already looking forward at Buffalo. Hopefully we win these 2 games. If we lose one of these 2 games, especially first,
it's gonna be hard to defend anything. It's really gonna be hard to defend anything if they lose one of these next 2 games.
Yeah. How do you see this game going? What's your score prediction?
Yeah, I mean, you're playing Russian roulette at this point, but to be fair, we've actually been awfully close on the score predictions lately. We just keep doing it for the opposite sides. But I don't know. I'm going to say it's going to be 24-10. I think that the Eagles should be able to put something together and just get a little something going. I can't say that I have faith they're going to do a whole lot on offense. Usually 32 is my threshold. Now 24 has become the threshold. I'm hoping that they can, at least just put up a decent performance against a team that's just not good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll go 28-10. The key is just to shut down Bowers on this offensive side and stop the run game for the Raiders, and they don't do anything. They're not able to do anything.
Well, we've seen how Kenny Pickett plays. Kenny Pickett can pass the ball past 8 yards. So you do want to load the box and drop the safeties closer to the field.
and just murder him.
Put pressure on him. Yeah.
I have way more faith in the defense actually playing well in this game. The Raiders O-line, like I've been mentioning, is god awful. It's kind of like the Chargers, but worse. And we had 7 sacks last game, so that's cool.
Yeah, we did.
That was cool. Other than that, let's just go back. We have to go back to running the ball and take it out of Jalen's hands, and don't give him like everything, the world of the weight of the shoulders, the burden in this game. You don't need to. Like, it's just that plain and simple. I'm not saying it's funny how I'm not going back to play conservative because it just sounds like that's what I'm saying. But in a sense, like
I hear you, and I'm with you. I don't think that going back to conservative is necessarily the way, but I think you need to go back to hard-nosed, old-style football and stop trying to outthink yourself. Like just run hard north and south, dink and dunk pass out of the play action, and just methodically move down the field. You don't need to overthink it. I mean, we're not in the spot to experiment anymore. Like this is no longer experiment season. Do what you know works. It doesn't need to be that hard.
And like the funniest thing is I was about to say, you get to go into like all pro like Max Crosby. He's not practicing Wednesday.
Yeah. So if you lose to a depleted Raiders team that's 2-11, I'm gonna have some serious problems. And I think that Philadelphia might actually burn if
I don't think they're going to be able to lead the field.
You might actually. I don't know what you'd see. It'd be a bad sight.
I think everyone wants this team to get back on the same page, and I really don't. I think being at home, we just gotta just embrace that we suck right now. I think we just have to embrace that we suck and just keep it moving. Then
gotta make the playoffs first. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
But we will see. It's definitely going to be interesting. It's hard to say where our birds are going to land, but we're staying optimistic over here to an extent. It's definitely been a tough season, and it's been an up and down roller coaster, but wouldn't be an Eagles season if it wasn't interesting. You know what I mean? So they're keeping you on your toes. So
it's too easy.
With that being said, stay tuned. We're going to keep you on your toes as well. We're going to have more episodes out to you next week, reviewing the game and previewing the following week. So make sure you come back and check that video out. And if you like what we talked about today, make sure you like the video. It helps our channel and our algorithm. So we appreciate you guys so much if you do that for us. You guys are the best. And if you do appreciate the content that comes out for us, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Not only do we put out videos, but our partners also put out NBA, MLB, college sports. Make sure you're staying tuned with everything that our channel has to offer. So thank you guys. We appreciate you as always. And go Birds. Hopefully we can come back to you guys next week with a big needed W.
Let's go Birds.